Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the Monday Morning Metamorphosis Moment. Thank you so much for joining me. To my replay viewers, let me go ahead and shout you out right now. Thank you so much for watching. Please ensure that you watch until the end, okay? All right, so we're going to get started. For our 15-minute Monday morning metamorphosis moment, allow me to welcome everyone that's on live with me this morning. Thank you so much for joining. Listen, it's March, and it's National Women's History Month. Again, it's March, and it's National Women's History Month. I think I'm saying that correctly. So I've got my little history book, but I made a little change to it, and it's probably showing backwards to you. But instead of it saying National Women's History Month, we're calling it National Women's HERstory Month. National Women HERstory Month. I hope you can see that okay? Because this is a month where we celebrate the history of women. But here's what I know. There are women that have a history that they're not proud of, that they don't want to celebrate. There are women that have a history that they painfully relive over and over and over in their life. Hey, Chandra, thanks for joining. Good morning. There are women that have a history or a her story that they painfully just play it over and over in their head. It hovers over them everywhere they go like a dark cloud. They keep reliving it over and over in their mind. So today I want to talk about National Women's HERstory Month, because we all have a story, and while there are some great and powerful women in our history that have left an amazing legacy, the truth of the matter is today there are women that have a her story that's very painful, that they just keep playing it over and over. They can't let it go. They're imprisoned to their her story. So they're in prison, not in the walls of prison, but they're a prisoner to their past, or they're bound by their past, their her story. Or, and again, instead of saying history, we're saying her story. They're bound by it, and not by chains and ropes and all of that. They're bound by their painful her story. And so it's hard for them to celebrate their her story because it's a place of pain for them. And so today we are declaring, my name is victory, not history. Yeah, let me just say that again. My name is victory, not history, because we are not our past. That's who we are not. And so we are not our her story. Our past is just a story that we are able to tell to help somebody that's coming along that may be dealing with the same thing. So again, our past is a her story. So not National Women's History Month, but National Women's HERstory Month. And so again, women cannot celebrate their her story, again, because it's a place of pain. Before I go any further, let me just quickly tell you who I am. I'm Andrea T. Martin, life discovery expert, speaker, and coach, and my clients are women who are unable to break free from a painful past. I help them so that they can break free from it, get clarity on not only who they are, but also on their purpose, so that they can boldly move forward in life, so that they can boldly be who God created them to be. And I believe that that's a beautiful butterfly. That's who we were created to be. So I want to invite everyone to share this video, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching via the replay, to share this video while we talk about celebrating National HERstory Month. Again, I have changed it. I know it's National Women's History Month, but we are saying National Women's HERstory Month. And listen, my name is victory, not history, because my beautiful sisters, you are not your history. Your history is just your her story. And so I want to give you 5 quick tips in terms of what I mean when I talk about her story and how to deal with her story, our version of history. So the first thing that I want to remind you of is don't let your history interfere with your destiny. Don't let your history interfere with your destiny. As I stated earlier, we relive our past over and over and over again. It's time to stop reliving that past. It's not a movie, so stop replaying it. But here's what I want you to do is to stay focused in the present and focus on your future, because your history is not your destiny. That's powerful. Your history is not your destiny. Because of where you've been, it doesn't dictate where you're going. So don't let your history interfere with your destiny. That's the first tip. Tip number 2 is historic wounds equal future wisdom. Let me say that again. Historic wounds equal future wisdom. What do I mean by that? Because the pain that you have suffered in the past, good morning, AP Amy, thanks for joining. Because the pain that you have suffered in the past, you can use to learn valuable lessons from it. So historic wounds do not equal future wisdom. So you can learn how to learn from your painful past. Learn from your history. Use those wounds that you have, the pain that you've gone through, to learn the valuable lessons from it. And then sometimes, back in the day in the church, I'm sure some churches still have it, they used to have testimony service. And those mothers and those deacons and those evangelists and elders, they would get up and they would testify. And they would talk about the hard times that they've been through. But they would also talk about how God brought them out of that painful situation. And so when you heard those testimonies, you always thought, well, if they made it through, I can make it through. And so you learn from your past, but share your HERstory so that you can help somebody else. Let your historical wounds be future wisdom. We're a society that's so focused on our memory is full, delete, when you're dealing with computers or your cell phones. My cell phone is always saying it's full, memory full. That's because we're holding on to too many things. You need to delete some stuff. But before you delete it, learn the valuable lessons from it. Let your historic wounds be your future wisdom so that you can testify about it. And instead of being so focused on deleting memory, you can be focused on creating memories. All right. So let me quickly move on to point 3, because I could stay right there on that one. Point 3, I want to go back to Maya Angelou. She wrote a poem that says, "You may write down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I rise. You may write me down in history," she says. Listen, people will think that they know your story, but they don't know your HERstory. They don't know all that you had to go through to get to where you are today. And although you went through all of that, still you rise. They don't know your story. We used to sing a song in church that says, "You don't know my story, all the pain that I went through. I've been through too much not to worship him." People don't really know your story. So they'll try to write your story. They'll add their version to it and think that they're writing and telling your story. But I want you to write your own story. And in fact, when they try to write your story, they can come up with one ending of how they think that your HERstory ended. But you let them know that's not how the story ended. I got back up, I brushed myself off, and God rewrote the ending to my story. So you may write me down in history. Yeah, you might, but you won't get it right. You can't tell it like I tell it. That's another song they used to sing in church. You can't tell it like I tell it. You think that I came out with one ending, but God rewrote the ending. You can't tell my story. People will lie and tell stories on you. They will write it down in history and pass that thing down and spread the gossip and the lies on you. But that's not your story. You start to tell HERstory, which is your story, and let them know again that God changed the ending. All right. So I don't know that I really gave you a tip for that. So we're just going to say, you can't write my story because God changed the ending. So let's move on to tip 4. And we're going to say for tip 4, make history for the future. Make history for the future. Make history for the future. That's going to be tip 4. What do I mean by that? What I want you to understand is that you need to move forward in life and be who God called you to be. Seek not for people's approval, but make history so that your children and your children's children can be proud of the history. When they look back on your life, they will be proud of your history. That's what I mean by make history for the future. Your children's children. Everybody knows I'm getting ready to have a granddaughter. I want her to be able to look back and say, my Nana left a legacy. My Nana left an impact on the world. She's in the future, but I'm back here now. I'm making her history because I'm a part of her history. Make history for the future. Let future generations, let the earth be proud of what you're doing right now. But more importantly, make history, do things now so that in the future, you'll hear God say, well done, thy good and faithful servant. I'm a little churchy today. I might have to take my coach hat off for a moment today because I feel this thing when we talk about her story, because here's what I know. My sisters have been through some stuff, some history. We've got some history. And yes, it's National Women's History Month, but we've changed it. So we're saying National Women's HERstory Month. Yeah, we've changed it today. National Women's HERstory Month. And we are declaring today, my name is Victory, not history. You are not your history. Yes, you may have messed up. You may have made some mistakes. You are not your history. Your history is really your her story. So get ready to start telling your her story. You got to be able to tell it, all right? So that's what we're talking about today. My name is Victory, not history. Listen, I can say that too. My name is Destiny, not history. But let me quickly move on to tip 5. Let me watch my time. I got 3 minutes. The last tip is this. Some people are a part of your history, but not your destiny. Let me say that again. Some people are part of your history, but not your destiny. Listen, let me invite you to share this video. People need to know that their name is Victory, not history. They need to know that their history is really her story. It's National Women's HERstory Month. But so share this video so that someone else can be blessed. Again, as I stated at the top of this video, people are bound by their history. It's National Women's History Month where we're to celebrate women's history. And yes, there are some great, powerful women that deserve to be celebrated. But what I know is that many of us have a painful past that we're not proud of. We don't want to celebrate it. We want to forget it. We relive it over and over again. I want to encourage you to turn your history into your her story. And so again, the last tip is some people are part of your history, but not your destiny. Let me just tell you that it's some people in your life that you had in your history, in your past. You got to let them go. They can't go where you are going next. Where this next place where God is taking you, some of those people that are with you now cannot go. So you got to check your circle and know when it's time to move on. I read somewhere the other week that you are the sum of the 5 closest people that you hang around. You need to have some people in your circle that have already arrived to where you want to go. And the truth of the matter is some people that are close to you right now, they don't mean you any good. They just hold you close because they need you to be, close to them so they can watch you. But they don't mean you well. It's not genuine love. So some people that are a part of your history cannot be a part of your destiny. That was the last tip. Let me quickly recap them. So tip 1 is don't let your history interfere with your destiny. Your history is not your destiny. You are not your history. You are not your mother. You are not your father. You may act like them. You may look like them, but you are not them. God made you uniquely. You are you. You are not what happened to you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your past. So don't let your history interfere with your destiny. Tip 2 was historic wounds equal future wisdom. Historic wounds equal future wisdom. What do I mean by that? Simply learn from your past pain. Learn from that historic pain. Learn the valuable lessons from it. Create new memories and delete some of those bad memories, but get the lessons from them. And, our memory is full because we're holding on to so much. Let it go. Learn from it and keep it moving. Historic wounds equal future wisdom. And then number 3, you can't write my story. And for this one, we quoted Maya Angelou that says, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. Yeah, people gonna tell some lies on you. They're gonna gossip on you. They're gonna talk about you. They're gonna try to write your story. And listen, some of what they say might be true, but what they don't know is they don't know that God rewrote your ending. And so it may have been an ugly history, but God turned it into your her story. Good morning, Janice. Thanks for joining. God turned it into your her story. And so they may write your story. They think they wrote it, but God had the last say, and he wrote the next chapter. So even though you messed up, if you're like me, I had a painful past, but God rewrote my story. He took me from mistress to ministry. He took me from tragedy to triumph. He took me from trials to triumph. God rewrote my story, and it's not my history, it's my her story. Listen, I told you I took off my coach hat for a minute, had to put on my church hat for a minute because I feel this thing today. Your history is your her story. So we're celebrating National Women's HERstory Month. Your name is victory, not history. And then the next tip that we gave was make history for the future. Do things right now so that your grandchildren and your great-grands and your grand-grand-grands and your great-great-great-great-grands will be, they'll be able to look back and say, my relative Andrea, my relative Janice, my relative Amy, my relative Chandra, my relative whoever is watching this live or via the replay. Do things now. Create history to leave a legacy in the earth so that the future generations will be able to look back on their history and stand proud and stand tall because of what you've accomplished, because you decided to walk into your destiny, because you decided that your name is victory and not history. And then the last tip we gave is that some people are part of your history but can't be part of your destiny. Yeah, you got some people right now that's close to you. They're pretending to be your friend and your buddy and your bosom buddy. And, they're just acting like they're in your corner, but they're not. And here's what I know. This next place that God is taking you to, they cannot go. And as I said earlier, you are the sum of the 5 closest people that you have near you. So you need to have somebody in your circle that has already arrived to where you're trying to go. Check your circle. Some people that were in your history cannot be in your destiny. Some people that were part of your history cannot be in your destiny. Listen, this is National Women's History Month, but again, we're declaring National Women's HERstory Month because, ladies, we have a story to tell. I want you to tell your story, but tell it from a place of power. Tell your her story and know that because of your her story, you have gained strength. You have gained power. You have gained knowledge. You have gained wisdom. You have gained experience. It's National Women's HERstory Month. Your name is victory and not history. Share this video. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining this Monday morning metamorphosis moment. Join me right back here next Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern, where we will do this again. Connect with me. Inbox me. Get on my email list if you're not already on there. I've got some good things going on. In fact, today I'm kicking off week 1 of the Cocoon Experience. I've got some ladies that are getting ready to go through the process, a process that's going to change their life, a process that's going to help them overcome their past, get clear on who they are, get clear on their purpose, who God has called them to be, so that they can boldly move forward in life. It's not too late for you to join. Inbox me, get in today while the special introductory investment is going on. Again, thank you so much for joining, beautiful butterflies. Go throughout this week declaring, my name is victory, not history. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.